Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Avini Vibes. I'm so excited because today is Thursday, March 14th, 2024. I'm your host, Christine Rolando, with co-host Carol Witt. And of course, we have Dr. Chip in the house. And tonight, just really thrilled to hear from Dr. Kim. I can't explain our conversation other than when I heard his interview, I knew I wanted to meet him. And at least we have Zoom and we all can hear about his story with Avini and his purposeful life that he's had all these years that he's been blessed with. I want to just ask you if you're just joining the call, we appreciate you so much. Avini Vibes is all about the vibe, it's all about being positive, being upbeat, but most importantly, educating and edifying one another and learning from one another. So important that we learn every day. It doesn't matter. My dad always said at 91, Christine, you can always learn something every day when you go out and about. So we're here to learn, we're here to share, and of course, celebrate your commitment to your own health journey and of course the health journey of the people that you come in to meet, but also that I feel has been put on your path. So glad you're not all shy. So thank you for being here tonight again, Avini Vibes. And with that, I'd like to have Dr. Kim join us. Amazing man. Haven't met him personally, as I said, but I had the opportunity to hear an interview that he did. And what really intrigued me is the fact that he sounds like he's a proficient golfer. And even though he had some issues with maybe a body part, he still got out on the golf course, and he ran into our very own Doug Dickey. But Dr. Kim is a chiropractor he retired 2 years ago, and 35 years as a chiropractor. He received a diplomatic status of homeopathy and certification in functional medicine, and he's countless hours as a clinical nutritionist. He's been a three-time past president of Rotary, and this really excited me because he's very much involved in his community foundation. I'm passionate about community foundations, and has been vice president of the Chamber of Commerce, and he's also sits on the board of directors at the Michigan Chiropractic Society for over 7 years. So this is a man of service. Let's give him a high five clap. And Dr. Kim, welcome.
Thank you.
We want to hear about your story, Avini, and how and why you're here. Please.
Well, you might have, I know you didn't mention, but I served in Vietnam back in the early 70s, and of course I was exposed to Agent Orange while I was over there, and had the problems that come from that. And then 2010, in fact, it was March 4th, 2010. I'll never forget. He was diagnosed with lymphoma. It was stage 4 when we found it, and it was caused by his exposure to glyphosate, Roundup. I used to call him the Roundup Kid. He hated weeds and liked to get rid of them. And he was a professional golfer for a while. He spent a lot of time on the golf course. He worked as a golf pro for a little while at a club, and he just had a big exposure to all the herbicides and Roundup. It was right after he died in July of 2010. I mean, it was 4 months after we found out he had it. He didn't last very long, unfortunately. But right after he retired 2 years ago, 2021, it was my wife and I working together. We had downsized the practice and came in one day, and I had my ear kind of blown out in Tom, and it affected my balance, and I'd get vertigo attacks. One day I kind of went over to adjust the patient and just kept going. So my wife says, I think we had enough. I mean, we went back to work the day after we buried our son. So 1 week vacation in the last 30 years, 35 years. So I retired. I told my wife that I wasn't going to do anything for a while. I was just going to take it easy, and I pretty much did. And then I don't know if you know Guy Danowski or if he's been on these calls, but Guy, I've known Guy for a long time, and evidently he got with Avini. He called me up. He says, Dr. Kim, he said, I got this stuff. He says, it's a great company, and it takes glyphosate and dioxin and heavy metals out of the body. Well, that got my attention because of my experience with heavy metals, bulk organic compounds, and say, he said, I'll put you in touch with a guy. So I got a text from Paul Stowers, and Paul sent me this thing called Avini Health Training.com. And I looked on that, and there was all this stuff, and I had no idea what I was doing, but I did see the events thing on there, and they were having a golf outing in a couple of weeks at the club that I play at all the time. So I dropped him a text, and I said, can I join you guys? He said, sure. So I made arrangements to do that. It was like on a Friday. That week, I had a golf trip planned on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I played 54 holes of golf those 3 days. I came back and played golf on Thursday with my brother. And when I got up Friday, I could hardly move. My back was hurting so darn bad. And I know my back. And I knew I was going to be down for a few weeks. But I told the guys, I told them I'd be there. So I rode over to the golf course, and I got out of the car, and I struggled to get up to the inside. And it had rained the night before, and they said it was cart path only. And I said, I don't know. I can't. I said, I can't golf, guys. And this guy standing next to me, he looked over and he says, I think you're riding with me. Why don't you come along and we'll just talk. I didn't know who it was, but I said, what the heck? I'd already booked off everything. So I got in the cart. We got to the first tee, and I pulled myself out of the cart. I'm standing there, and he comes over and he says, lift up your shirt.
Said what?
Lift up your shirt. And I said, okay. He said, this is how we bond in this company. I said, okay. So I lift up my shirt, and he starts rubbing this stuff on my back. And we get to the next tee, and I'm still riding the cart. I can't move. And he says, let's do it again. He rubs more stuff on my back. And by the time we got to the seventh hole, he probably put it on 6 or 7 times. So of course, it was Doug Dickey. And that's the first time I met Doug. Mm-hmm. And we get to the 7th hole, and they hit the ball in the middle of the fairway there. And I got out of the cart, and hey, you know what? I can move. Maybe I can swing the club. So I got out there, and I said, I'm going to try and hit one. So I hit one, and hit it pretty good. I played the rest of the round. I couldn't believe it. So that was my and my first experience with Plus Relief. I was pretty impressed, and spending a lot of time with Doug right off the bat, of course, I was pretty impressed. He either knows a lot or he fakes it really, really good. And and we kind of hit it off. We became, I thought, friends at that point. Paul was with us. We had a real nice work. And that was my start with Avini. And the more I learned, the more comfortable I felt with being where I was at. Mm-hmm. I wasn't looking to be with a network. No. I've had a lot of experience with network marketing companies going back to 1964, 65. I was in junior high school, and they had a meeting, and my mother and I went, and there was a guy there. He did this presentation. I think his name was DeVos. And he had started this company selling soap. And it sounded really cool. So my mother and I started the company. And of course, we didn't do anything at that point in time. But that's how I started with network marketing.
That was in 1964, you said?
What's that?
That was in 1964?
Oh, it was, yeah, I was. So I graduated in high school in 1969. So it had to be 5, 6 years before that. I was just, young guy. Yeah.
Amazing, right? long time
So,
ago.
yeah, so I'm pretty impressed. I was part owner of a MLM some few years ago. We started doing colloidal minerals, and that didn't go very far. I learned a lot of lessons there. Um, and now I'm just impressed. Avini's done a really, really good job of putting this thing together. Um, to me, it's the most perfect. Everything melds. Unbelievable products, unbelievable business plan, great compensation plan. It lends itself to being very, very successful.
Well, I was
I,
just going to ask you, I think you just answered it, but even a little bit more in depth. So since you had the experience in network marketing from a long time ago and being involved with one so intimately, what's so impressive about Avini, do you think? Um, Paul. Paul, we all were fortunate to have Paul as our guest last week, only for a
right.
few minutes. We had him for about only 20 minutes, but and we have Doug as our Doug Dickey. For those of you that might be guests, that's our vice president. And Doug is a scientist and an inventor and a brilliant man, like you said, brilliant, and can really go deep into the science and whatnot on this. But what was it that was very different? Was it that experience on the golf course? You had firsthand experience, one with Plus Relief, right?
Well, I think the experience on the golf course was it was good, and it got me interested enough to keep digging. And the more I asked questions and the more I looked at it, it wasn't like I saw any red flags or anything. I just felt more and more comfortable. Everybody I've met with I realized maybe I shouldn't say this, but most of the people that I met were old parts like me. Excuse my French, but and what comes um, as you get older, hopefully you get a little wiser, right? And I was pretty impressed. Everybody I met was doing it for the right reason. We've been through the mill a few times, and I think everybody's here because they recognize what we got going with Avini. So,
That's an amazing point that you just said. My son watched this one. He's only in his 30s, but he said, "Mom, everyone's upward in age." And I said, "Yeah, can you imagine the young person that gets involved with this company, how they'll zoom off and take off, right? Because like you said, there's a lot of wisdom in this room, a lot of experience, a lot of failures, a lot of successes. And that's what Avini is, bringing all the brilliance together as one company. And us, we're all on this tonight. We're all pretty smart people, aren't we? Because we're here.
yeah, exactly. Who
Yeah.
was it? Was it Chip? Was it you that said Avini's the place where networkers come to retire?
Well, hopefully this will be our I guess it's our encore. We call it our encore. Our encore careers is what we call it.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's done right. Like I said, I've met some great people, become real good friends with Paul. We've done a number of things together so far. Played golf with Doug a few times and had a real good time. So uh, that's all I was going to do was just play golf. I wasn't going to, but when when you learn something will help people, it's basically criminal if you don't tell people, right? I mean, that's just not right. You got to spread the good word, let people know. So, and then what better way to do it than under the auspices of a network marketing program like Avini has, where you can tell people about it. They can get excited, they can share it, and you get compensated for doing that. And it's really not work. It's kind of like fun to do that.
No.
I mean, you got to work, you got to put in some time, you got to effort. It's rewards are more than just the dollars at the end of the month. The rewards are what you get when people I feel a lot better, or thanks Christine, I feel a lot better. Or that's the cool part of the company.
Yeah,
Products
Dr. Kim, it's interesting because I think about how many times I have shared a good movie with someone. Many, many times you've shared good movies with someone, and that only gives them, fun for a little while, what we're sharing gives them a wonderful, wonderful quality of life. And that's why I won't shut up about it.
Yeah, I know. People would rather hear about a movie though sometimes than hear about you talking about
Sometimes.
something like Cell Defender. But that's our challenge. That's why we get compensated, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and earlier we were talking about retirement. I always say you got to retire to something, not from something. So if there's anyone in here that's headed towards retirement or retired, you retired to Avini, which is more fun than just anything. I wake up every day so excited, and my husband's like, "Where you going? Back in that office?" Yeah, I'm going. Because every day is a blessing to know. Like Shu, I don't know if he's on tonight, but I love Shu's story. We had him on as well. And he talked about every day he gets up with a big smile on his face, and who's ever gonna, he's gonna get put in his path is gonna be the one probably that has been praying or asking for this. So it's kind of a neat thing, really is a neat thing that we're all doing.
So
I almost wish I was back in. I'm sorry, Chip. Were you?
No, I'm just thinking of the people that you're surrounded by on my screen here. Shu's a double Purple Heart guy from Vietnam. And he was a speaker in your place not long ago. I was impressed in your introduction that you've been a Rotary president 3 times. I got to be a group study exchange to Finland in about 1982. So that was my introduction to Rotary. What a service you've done just with that. And obviously well recognized in your community, and you've just been with us now for a very few months, right? I mean, you're quite new.
Yeah, I think I joined in October, so it's only 5 months, maybe.
Well, as you're
feels
reaching out
longer.
to people, has the same thing happened that happened to Doug that day? He reached out to you and you got better. Has the same thing happened as you reached out to people already in your young time here?
There's somebody on the call tonight. If we get Terry to come live, and I have never met Terry in person. We met over Facebook. We're going to meet tomorrow morning, aren't we, Terry? Terry, can you unmute?
Is that
That
Terry?
was a great lead. That was a great lead in, Chip.
Yeah.
Terry, are you there?
Maybe. I see Terry on the, well, maybe she's working on it, working on how to figure out to come on camera.
Well, yeah, I know she's on her phone. It's a little bit harder to negotiate, but I met Terry on Facebook. She's friends with a friend of mine, and I told her she's got a lot of health issues. And I told her about the Cell Defender, and she wanted to order it. So she went on and ordered, but she made a mistake and ordered the Plus Relief. So she gets the Plus Relief. It doesn't know exactly what to do with it, so she kind of puts it on the shelf. A few days later, she loses a filling in her tooth, and the nerves explode. And Terry's had some gastric sleeve put on, and they told her she can't take any non-steroidal anti-inflammatories or any type of pain pill or pain relief. So she took the Plus Relief and started spraying it, and got like immediate relief with that. And then she had to have surgery where they pulled the tooth out with the roots were wrapped around the gum. And she used the Plus Relief. She said that she didn't have any pain, which was pretty cool. And I hope I'm sharing your story well, Terry. I know you're listening.
Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah. Well, we're going to meet tomorrow. Her chiropractor is actually an old friend of mine, and we're going to meet at his office. I haven't seen him in a few years, so it'll be nice. It'll be a fun experience.
So let me ask you, tomorrow's experience, are you going over to share with him, Avini? Is that what the purpose of you all going to meet?
I don't know yet. Well,
okay.
I know he's got a very, very busy practice, and I don't know if we'll have time to do that. But I'm going to meet Terry for sure, so that'll be cool.
Wonderful. That's cool. I know Cheryl's on tonight. Cheryl is asked Cheryl if she would just hop on for a moment. Cheryl's relatively new. Cheryl's from New York, but Cheryl, you with us? I see two Cheryls. Cheryl, unmute if you can unmute and just share what you've learned about. I don't know. Can you unmute her?
I just
Okay,
prompted her.
I'm sorry.
There
Hey
she is.
Cheryl,
Yeah, because
welcome.
I'm on my phone, I can't really unmute. Yes,
got
thank you
it.
so much.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Cheryl, we just
yeah,
wanted to
well,
hear about your story.
I'm sorry.
We just wanted to hear a little
Uh-oh.
bit about your testimony, your story, please. Wait.
Sure. I don't know. For some reason, I don't have a good connection to you guys anymore. Are you there?
We're
Yeah, we
here,
can
you.
hear you.
Can
Yes.
you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Something went wrong and you guys are frozen. Well, my testimony is it's kind of interesting. I've been studying functional nutrition because I had good results with functional nutrition. I went to a functional neurologist when I had liver failure with autoimmune, and I almost needed a transplant. And I had a lot of success with a clean diet and advanced chiropractic. So I was working on getting board certified in functional nutrition, and then COVID hit, and things I didn't completely finish that. And then I've worked with Amy with insurance in the past, and she had mentioned to me that there was a mushroom coffee I should try. And I tried that, and I had a lot of mind clarity with that. And then she goes, well, we have these tablets. And so instead of drinking the coffee all the time, I could try the mushroom capsules. So I tried that with the Cell Defender and the Nano Silver and I tried like pretty much everything. And I had a lot of success. I really have I feel like it's really helped my moods. My body feels really clean. I sprayed Cell Defender on my forehead on a mole, and it's like gone away. I gave Cell Defender and Nano Silver to my dog, and she had like perfect labs. She's like 11, and she hadn't had any medicine or flea and tick medicine. She didn't have worms. She didn't have anything in her stool. She had nothing. She had perfect labs with that. She still has a couple of other issues, but that was really amazing. And so, I've been able to, experience some really, I've only been doing this like several months, but I've had a lot of success with this. And, I'd like to build a team, and I'd like to eventually finish up with my functional nutrition business and bring this in. So, and really focus on this. So I am working on, getting some more recruits and building a team. And, I really had a passion for, just helping people heal and be healthy and, live a clean life. And I was always again, I was like, oh, people would say, oh, let's get rid of all the toxins in your body. And I'd be like, I had a chiropractor say that to me, and I was like, how does he know I have toxins in my body? But you really feel like all this stuff gets released, and, it's been great. And so it's been a really good experience for me. And I had ADHD, and I was on medication, and then I couldn't take it with my liver, and I have been able to focus, and I've had so much success with the mushrooms and the products. And like, I can't believe how I can sit still and not be distracted and not be agitated while on these products. So I've been really happy. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Like Cheryl said, she's new to all this, but she's not new to, dealing with her health issues. Dr. Kim, we want to come back to you again. What else do you want to share with us? What else, any other experiences or as a chiropractor? We all have chiropractors, and maybe we're we don't feel knowledgeable enough to talk to our chiropractors, or do you recommend, like, what's your thoughts there?
Well, I'm actually working on putting together something to take to chiropractors, because I think after just retiring, I was kind of forced into it, and I wasn't ready in a lot of ways, but I think Avini is a perfect tool that a chiropractor or any healthcare professional can use as part of their exit strategy. You know, yeah, talking to Doug once, and he shared with me some of the numbers of the people that are on auto ship. And you don't have to be on auto ship, right? But the numbers are good. The average purchase is really good. And from a purely a business point of view, that's really impressive. That's a big thing. That leads to stability if you're thinking about doing this as a business, which we all are. We all, you know, to different degrees. You don't. That's a cool thing about it. You know, you can be the chip, or you can be me. You know, I mean, you can be up the top, or you're starting out. It doesn't matter. We can all end up at the same place, and it's what you put into it. That's why. But I call it what I call it, live a plus life. You know, add. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not live a plus life? Learn about what our products can do for you. Because I'll be honest with you, I sold thousands and thousands of dollars worth of nutrition over the years to people. And I came to the realization the other day that all those nutrients and formulas that I sold were basically to counteract or deal with the effects of underlying toxicity. Right? So instead of masking the symptoms or dealing with the symptoms of toxicity, I think it makes a heck of a lot more sense to just go ahead and try and get the toxins out. Right? Then everything works better. I mean, it took me a long time to get to that point to realize that. I was talking to a doc today. We were messaging back and forth, and it was a little tough because it's such a simple concept, but it goes against what we were taught for all these years. You know, if you have this, take this. You know, and Rick hit the nail with his head. You know, clean, healthy body fixes itself.
Amen. That's so
It is true.
Yeah.
And as chiropractors, we were always taught to treat the cause, not the symptom. Right? Your chiropractor ever talk to you about that?
Absolutely.
And then they're pushing in a lot of. I'm saying maybe I should say push, but they're recommending nutritional formulas.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not treating the cause. That's treating the symptom of the problem. The problem's all your patients are toxic.
Okay, so now I got to ask you, Dr. Kim, did you just have a brilliant misstatement, or did you intend to say that he hit the nail with his head?
You know, I've been saying that
line?
for probably 20 years, 30 years. My kids, it's one of those dad things, you know.
I haven't heard that before. I love it. Yeah, I mean, how many of you does it feel like you hit the nail with your head?
Yeah.
That's great. That's
I like
great.
that.
That's
going on the T-shirt, Chip.
Yeah, there we go.
Rick hit the nail with his head.
Goes on the T-shirt for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But I mean, it's a simple concept, like I said, but man, it was. Why did it take me so long to learn that? Because nobody taught me, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't I listen to if one of my patients walked in the door and talked to me like that, maybe the light bulb would go on, you know? So I think that's where you start. You got to talk chiropractic to those chiropractors. Let's treat the cause, doc, not the symptoms.
Where's Eddie Kowalski? Eddie.
And there's Ed.
I want to ask you a question. So Eddie and I had this long conversation yesterday and about being in a place of power. You know, you walk into your like I go to all these 19 doctors with my husband, and you know, I'm not afraid to stand in a place of power, even though he's a surgeon, you know, he's orthopedic surgeon. He doesn't know what a zeolite is. So Eddie, can you jump in and just share a little bit of that? Your experience, what happened to you a couple times being in a place of power when you ask someone if they know what a zeolite is? I'm putting you on the spot, but please.
No. I mean, I don't feel like that anyone, when I've talked to them, will, because I've been in this for a while, but understanding what we have, that I'm going to educate anybody I talk to. And I've talked to doctors, I've talked to cardio guys, I've talked to biochemists, and I ask them questions and they don't know. And if they do know, they know a little bit. And then if they aren't too prideful, then I educate them on it. Because when we talk to anybody, we are educating them to where they're going to know more after a 10-minute conversation about what a zeolite is, a cell defender, and our nano and our mushrooms than most people in the country. So I don't back down from anyone because I'm privileged and I'm honored to be able to represent Avini, because I think everybody on the planet needs this, because like Chip says, womb to the tomb, there's no one that is excluded from what we have. And so I will go to talk with anybody, and I've never been kind of like thwarted to where they can sort of shut me down, because they can't. Because I said, we have the best biochemist in the world. He basically discovered zeolite, and his formulation and his activation and his micronization are unmatched in the world. So this is what we've got. What do you have? And so the power is just that we've got something nobody else has. And I don't back down from anyone, because I want them to understand what we have. What they do with that information, once they have a good understanding of that, is up to them, right? Because it's out of my hands, right? Once they get it, they understand it. Okay, I got it. And it's either yes, no, maybe, whatever. But no, I don't care who I'm talking to. It could be a doctor. It could be the best biochemist in the world. I don't care, because we've got the best one. So I'm just like kind of unafraid, I guess you could say. I don't care. So
Well, you shouldn't be. You know more than they do. I had an appointment yesterday with my. I'm sorry, Ed, with my primary care physician out at the VA, and first of all, she's, man, everything is perfect. Labs are perfect, and good for you. I'll be 73 next Wednesday, and she said, you're doing really, really good. Well, I take care of myself. I do a lot of the right things, and getting rid of the toxins is the most important thing you can do. And at that point, it was like, I'd have a place up in northern Michigan, and I drive up there, and you have to be careful at night because the deer will be in the road. And if you hit them with the headlights, and that was the same look she had on her face. But sometimes doctors in situations like that, they have to do what they're told. That's it. They have no leeway to think outside the box. And it's right now, everybody on this call right now knows more about getting people healthy than they do, because they just deal with symptoms. They fill you full. They know drugs and surgery. Half of them don't know surgery. They know drugs. I had a buddy who was a MD, and he was in my office getting treated. This was 3 or 4 years ago, and I was using pulse electromagnetic field therapy on his prostate at that point. And he looked up to me and he said, "Doc, I'm so jealous of you." I said, "You're jealous of me? Why are you jealous of me?" He says, "You can do so many things to help people." He says, "Me, I got drugs." And, you got to give them credit for realizing that. Yeah. But they get stuck. If they practice outside the guidelines, they lose their hospital privileges. It takes a lot of guts to be a medical doctor and to do things that aren't recommended by the drug companies. Yeah, it really does. True. So, yeah.
Good point. Good point. Thank you for sharing.
Sometimes, from working in the pharmacy, sometimes, you have to hold your nose to pass a prescription out the window to somebody because it's hurting them.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes those guys, if that's where your mortgage is coming from this month, you have to keep going right down that standard of care. And, they're obviously they've got stuff too. It's not like we got everything, but it's interesting to hear you two talk. I think Dr. Kim, Ed that was speaking a minute ago, he's a international pro baseball player. Carol Witt, that's kind of helping to host with Christine, is a Woman of the Year entrepreneur in her area of Florida. Christine is a international horsewoman. I mean, the people that are here, Alan Way's a railroad engineer. I don't know what everybody does. I mean, we're all involved with Avini, but as you get to know the people that are attracted here, you know, Hannah is a budding star and presenter for Avini, and I see Priscilla down there and some of the others that you know have stepped up already. Raksha is one of Carol's international coaches for what she does in her you know, I guess humanitarian work. And they're, I mean, the people that are here that you're on the presentation with, and to have you come as a doctor, and I know if you're a Rotary president, I mean, that pretty much defines you're a community leader. And I just love, and I don't know if it's too early, but I don't think it hurts for you to know. Earlier this afternoon, Ed and I did one of those calls that you pretty much know is going to turn into a life-changing thing for a family.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, pretty much know it's going to. Would you? I mean, you caused that to happen, Ed. Would you say something? Would you be comfortable saying something about that?
Yeah, it's really funny you say that. I just got a text message from the guy that I met with today. So this is really interesting. I went to show property today. I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor 30 years, and my passion is this. And real estate sometimes gets in the way, but it does provide a nice income. But I had a call from Jim Carroll, who's on the call right now, one of my distributors, and Jim and his wife wanted to go look at a piece of property for their daughter. So we went out, we looked at the property. I got there a little bit late, and they were in the yard talking to the seller. And I walked up, introduced myself, and in 5 minutes found out that the seller had a 5-year-old son who was autistic.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked immediately at Jim, made eye contact, and I was like, am I going to try to sell this house, or am I going to talk to him about Avini? And so we ended up doing both. Mm-hmm. So I told him, I said, me and Jim, and we had him cornered. We had 3 Avini people right there. And I said, we have something that can help your son, period. And I said, and I'd like to talk to you more about it. And we went into a little bit. He wanted to keep talking about it, but we had to see the house. We saw the house, and Jim and Cheryl were right there with me, and they were talking about Avini as we were going through. We finally just had to do the house thing. And after they left, I said, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to get you on the phone with Chip Littlejohn. And Chip, I had just finished showing that property about 2:30. And I said, I'm going to see if I can grab him at 4 because I had another appointment. And of course, Chip is always there for us. And so, but as I was leaving the house, this guy's been trying to sell this house for 3 months, right? He was so sweet. I mean, he was like 32, and the kid is violent. He's kind of like the story of Artis, if you guys know that story, you know, and he didn't know what to do. And he showed me all the things on his shelf. And Chip, you remember selenium, ionic zinc. He had ginger roots, everything. They tried everything. And I said, you don't have what we have. And I said, but I'm going to introduce you to that. And so Chip was gracious enough to get on the call. I sent them the Artis story about this kid who amazing results with autism, who is really turned the corner. And then I sent him Rick Deitch's video about Cell Defender, what it does. But as I was walking out on the porch, he turned and said to me, as desperate as they are to sell this house, he said, Ed, whether I sell my house or I don't, if this helps my kid, I don't care about the house. Mm-hmm. I said, wow. And that's when Chip got on the phone with him. I sent him the stuff. Literally, Chip, when you said that, I literally got a message, said thank you. And they're looking at it tonight, he and his wife, both the Artis story and the Cell Defender video from Rick. So thank you for that, Chip. But that was a God thing. And the funny thing is, when I walked up, Jim was standing there with a Jesus hat on. And I said, this is just meant to be. So it was so perfect. And, you know, and whether they get the 7-pack, you know, to start out with, or a couple of bottles, I said, you know, it's going to make a difference. Let's just go with this. And their belief level is through the roof. So that was such a blessing. It made my day. Everything I did today, nothing compares to that moment with
Amen.
Trevor. Yeah.
Thank you,
So
Ed. Thank you both, Chip and Ed. Dr. Kim, we got about 4 minutes left, so we always give our guests the opportunity to share some wisdom, departing words, anything you'd like to talk to us about before we let everybody go at 8:15.
But let me think here. What can I come up with? I know it's difficult when you talk to people and you think you don't know everything, but I'm impressed right now listening to everybody here. You know more than that MD that I talked to yesterday. So as Ed said, don't be afraid. Our mission's much higher than just convincing one person. You know, there's a lot of people. If you get a no, you can't take it. Just go on to the next person. You know, and they're gonna be there, and you just keep telling the story. You know, and you're going to help a lot of people. I think we have everything right here at our fingertips. We have the support. We have the people involved that can help us do anything. But primarily, we got the product, and that's the key right there. Everything else comes after that, and that's cool.
Dr.
Thank you so
Kim,
much. Go ahead, Nana. Give you a couple minutes.
for every young energy healer, alternative medicine practitioner that's out there, we want them to do what they're doing because that's the gift that they bring to the world. But what parting words can you have to them as to being involved with Avini as something as your backup for your retirement? And to have in your back pocket that we don't want them to take away. We want them to do what they do, but how we complement them. And at the same time, it's helping them to have another source of income.
Right. And I think Avini's the perfect setup for this, because all you want to do is tell people about the product and get people using the product. Yep. You don't care whether they come on as a customer or a distributor. They need to use the product, first of all, because that's going to change lives. Now, I don't know what the numbers are, but and I'm talking about if I was in practice right now, maybe for every 15 people that I get using the product, maybe it's every 20, I don't know. You're going to find that one person who gets that fire in their belly and says, I want to share this with other people. What's it take, Chip? 3? Basically, if you get 3 people like that, you can do really, really well. I mean, I think an average practice will have more than 3 pretty quick people that, and then you get to experience the fun of seeing other people change other people's lives. Mm. And then,
right. Amen.
This was a point I wanted to make. When I was in practice, I did not do anything unless I had my hands on somebody. I didn't affect their lives. I didn't make a buck unless I had my hands on somebody. And it's through the power of network marketing that I can take whatever gift that I have, share that with somebody. You can share that with somebody. You can share that with somebody. Maybe now I'm affecting 1,000 people or 2,000 people or more.
Yeah.
Just because I had that serendipity, or I kept my eyes open, I listened. And that's the powerful thing about what we're doing. It's the fact that we can affect people we've never even met before in a positive way.
You paid attention to those promptings, the things, the spirits that, what was speaking to you when you did it. Chip, do you want to go ahead and close us tonight? Thank you, Dr. Kim, for being with us. We're all going to share with our chiropractors that we love and care for. And
thank you. It was fun.
Appreciate you being with us.
I'd like to thank him also. And, I'm grateful I got to, talk to you a couple of times before you were here, and you're already, being called to the front and asked to express yourself. And what a cool story to start, all gumbled up in a golf cart with Doug Dickey sitting next to you. And by hole 7, you're playing again. What a great story that is.
Wow.
Whenever And you guys, you know, when you're interacting with somebody like Dr. Kim, this is real big to me, and I don't know if this will resonate with people immediately when you point it out, but Dr. Kim, I'm sure, had a beautiful office and a beautiful building and was highly respected in his community, and he could go point at it. Now, for Dr. Kim to show you his business, he needs a globe.
Mm.
You know, so geographically, it just opened up instantly. And the other thing that happens with healthcare practitioners when they you know, gather what we've got is the range of human conditions goes all the way from preconception through cremation. And doesn't matter what's right or wrong, or a great athlete, or, you know, the young child, whatever it is. So those two things instantly, when you get the idea, when you know, get a pack so that you're a member, your geography and your range of human conditions that you can deal with expand drastically.
Mm.
And I think that's really interesting. And you know, it's neat that he brought that up. Had to have his hands on people, had to go to that building. It's great. You know, it's like I used to say about the RV business. Any given moment's fine, but there's a lot of moments. I spent a lot of time walking that concrete.
Good
Lots
point.
of inventory.
And one other point, when I started my practice 38 years ago, I had to go borrow, at that point, I think it was $20,000. And a few years later, I bought a practice. And I remember before I took home $1, this was, well over 30 years ago, we had to produce over $25,000 a month in income just to pay the expenses. You know, that nut gets exorbitant when you're in practice, you know, and you're dealing with it. I had 7 people working for me. That's 7 headaches. You know?
You wonder if
And I don't have that now.
you.
I have no overhead. And you're right, Chip. My office is the Globe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Thank you again. Hey, I just want to leave you all with this. Last night, Marcy Littlejohn did an amazing job with interviewing Paul Stowers doing the compensation plan. If you're a guest, get whoever invited you here tonight to share that with you. Not only do we have great products, but what these gentlemen were sharing tonight, and Eddie, we have something that's amazing. But what Paul did last night and again today on the 11 o'clock, the recap, go and listen to it because it's very powerful. And we have all this at our fingertips. He listed on the last slide the 10 things what he liked about the company. I'm going to ask you all to go and look at that. And next week, come back and let's have a little discussion on maybe something, the 10 things about this company that you enjoyed. Thank you all for being with us tonight at Avini Vibes. I pray you have a blessed week, a blessed day, and go out and be bold and let's share together, okay? Have a wonderful
Thanks, Christine.
Thank
Thank you, Dr.
everybody.
Kim. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dr. Kim. It's
Thank
been
you,
really
Carol.
real.
Thank you,
Good night.
Dr.
Night
Kim.
all.
Good
Good
night.
Good night,
Dr. Kim.
everyone. Good night.
Good night, guys.